Hey there, viewers. Is your bladder nagging you out of your bed in the middle of the night? Well, you'll be glad to know you're not alone. This is a common problem that many people experience. The good news is that it can be often resolved with just a few simple steps. No one wants to miss their 8-hour beauty sleep. We all deserve that. But I know waking up at night just to pee can be a nightmare. The disturbed sleep and the frustration and fatigue are just too much. Well, if it happens once a night or even a few times a week, that is not a big alarm. But if you find yourself waking up again and again, rushing for the bathroom at least more than 2 times, then you might be suffering from a common condition called Nocturia, which is a fancy way of saying, I gotta pee a lot at night. This whole thing sounds like a lot to take in, and you must be wondering, well, what do I look out for, and how can I fix this? Well, worry no more, as this video will cover everything and leave no room for confusion. So let's begin. Nocturia. The word itself sounds so complicated, right? And I'm sure many of you must be wondering, will I ever be okay now? Well, it's very important to remember Nocturia itself is merely just a symptom and always has an obvious or hidden cause. And how would you know if it's even Nocturia? Well, if you find yourself waking up at least twice like there's a period of sleep before and after each episode, then it's probably Nocturia. Now, let's take a look at some common causes of Nocturia. It could simply be an infection. A UTI is a fairly common cause of Nocturia in young people, especially women. If you're young and have recently started experiencing Nocturia, well, this might just be an infection. Focus on the words recent, and UTI also comes with other problems like burning, itching, and passing smelly and dark urine. An enlarged prostate. With age, urination increases, and by 50, men and women both experience Nocturia often. In men over 50, Nocturia is commonly associated with an enlarged prostate. The prostate basically narrows the ureter and compresses the bladder, resulting in reduced flow of urine, and is often accompanied by frequent urination, incontinence, and Nocturia. These problems can either be present collectively or just as one. Bladder compression. Sometimes women develop fibroids, a mass in their uterus that can compress the bladder, causing problems with the pee. This bladder compression is also seen during pregnancy, when the uterus becomes too big, and women complain of Nocturia. But that is something not to be worried about, as we call it physiological, a body's natural response. One of the most common conditions associated with Nocturia is diabetes, or high blood sugar. Diabetes comes with high sugar levels and insulin resistance. These two things can be present in people diagnosed with diabetes or people who are at high risk of getting diabetes, and we simply call them pre-diabetes. How can high blood sugar lead to too much urination? In order to understand this, we must dive into the basics. When your kidney functions normally, it produces urine, and all of the sugar initially filtered by the kidney is reabsorbed back into the blood. But in diabetes, due to high blood sugar levels, the kidney's ability to reabsorb the sugar is disturbed, so the urine becomes sweeter and has more sugar since water follows glucose. More water gets into the urine and less is reabsorbed. This leads to more urine production and hence the Nocturia. Diabetes also increases the risk of long-term UTI, which aggravates this problem. Let's talk about insulin resistance. Diabetics have high levels of insulin, and a lot of studies now show insulin is responsible for Nocturia. In a study in mice, insulin relaxed the detrusor muscle in the bladder, increasing urinary frequency. Insulin also affects the adrenal glands and stops the production of the stress hormones that help hold urine. High insulin lower urinary retention and higher frequency. When we go to the doctor, they check our blood sugar levels instead of insulin. An overactive bladder condition where no apparent cause can be identified has also been linked with high insulin levels. Increased insulin also increased the prostate, which causes Nocturia. So many times, even when we treat the cause but do not look at the insulin levels and manage them, our Nocturia will never resolve. Now, how do we get rid of Nocturia? I know you must be thinking, well, do I rush to the emergency and go to the doctor right away? Well, if this Nocturia is recent or is accompanied by other symptoms like burning, fever, edema, or any other changes, then it's best to get in touch with your doctor. They might run some tests and offer you some antibiotics to treat the infection, treat prostate or fibroid, or investigate to look for any serious causes. But often the doctors might not even find a probable cause and treat you symptomatically for an overactive bladder. So whether you're waiting for that doctor's appointment or have already been there, here are 8 steps that you can add to your life to help get rid of nocturia for good. Number 1, stop drinking fluids for at least 3 hours before going to bed. Our bodies take up some time to filter the water and then produce urine. It's normal if you're drinking right before your bedtime, you'll have to pee later. Ideally, drink a lot of fluids throughout the day, but don't drink anything before bed. If you feel extremely thirsty or need to take medication, it's best to just take a few sips rather than chugging down a whole glass. Number 2, avoid any irritants. Caffeine, alcohol, fizzy drinks, and fast foods, mostly processed carbs, stimulate the bladder and result in increased frequency. It's best to keep them at a hand's length when facing the nocturia problem. Replace your regular coffee and tea with Koki and D-mannose tea, which helps reduce the risk of UTIs as well. Another thing to look out for is salt. Limit salt intake as it adds to water retention too. Number 3, use of key foods. Introduce pumpkin seeds into your diet. The phytoprotein in them helps with prostate enlargement in men and increases the flow of urine. Consume a lot of greens and salad to increase the intake of potassium. Water runs away from potassium, and high levels of potassium can lead to decreased water retention. Number 4, start double voiding. Double voiding is a fancy term for forcing yourself to urinate twice. Whenever you're rushing to the bathroom, instead of coming back, wait for a few minutes and then try to pee again. This will help empty your bladder completely and save your next bathroom trip. Also, make sure you empty your bladder before sleeping and introduce that double voiding for the complete effect. Number 5, introduce Kegel exercises. Using Kegel exercises helps train your bladder. The best thing about these exercises is that you don't need to plan them or set out a time. Whether you're on the train, waiting in line, or just at the work desk, you can start doing Kegels. Kegels help you retain your urine. Once that initial urge hits you, try doing these exercises and holding your urine whenever you wake up. This will decrease the frequency and not disrupt your precious sleep cycle. Another tip is not to go to the bathroom whenever you feel the urge during the daytime. This will make sure your bladder becomes full and empties fully when you end up peeing. Number 6, go low carb. High carb foods have a high glycemic index, which means whenever you eat a high carb meal, your body releases a gush of insulin. Eating 30 to 50 carbs per day can help you regulate your blood sugars and insulin both. Number 7, avoid snacking and eat less. Frequent snacking will again cause those insulin spikes. Instead, you can introduce intermittent fasting to avoid multiple insulin spikes. If you get too hungry or feel like you need something, snack on something high fat like almonds or avocados, or simply a tablespoon of peanut butter. These have a low glycemic index and don't raise sugar levels. Number 8, get your B vitamins. Instead of using fortified foods, go for natural sources of B vitamins. Adding a tablespoon of fermented yeast to your diet can help create a huge difference and reduce those insulin levels as B vitamins directly influence it. Although nocturia is common, it should not be accepted as inevitable. In many cases, steps can be taken to reduce bathroom trips and improve sleep. Understanding the basics about frequent nighttime urination, including its causes, consequences, and treatments, can be a first step for people of any age to sleep better and with less bothersome nocturia.